Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at another one of these Mojo Fun figures, and this one is their Velociraptor. This is an older Velociraptor, so I think it's been out for a little while now. The sculpt is probably not the most up to date, and you can see that there are some feathers included, but it's not quite as feathered as we would currently expect it to look. There isn't any kind of feathering on the arm or anything as far as like wing feathers or arm feathers, I would put it as. It doesn't look as good as it probably would if they currently made one, but for its time, it probably had its charm. But regardless, let's go ahead, get a closer look, and see what this thing's all about. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt has some fairly nice detail, but it's nothing to write home about. The eye looks to be painted a little sloppily, but not bad. It looks pretty good. The eye actually looks a little better, I think, on this side. It's fairly similar. It's got sort of a slit type of a look on the one side, but then kind of like a half of a slit on the other. It's a little inconsistent as far as the eye paint goes. The pose on it is honestly really stiff, so it's kind of just looking like it's maybe taking a picture, honestly. It's getting its picture done for its driver's license, I think. And he appears to be a little bit nervous about it. But you can see that the actual head sculpt is pretty nicely done. And if these feathers weren't on the top of the head, I would say that it's fairly nicely inspired from the Jurassic Park raptors, because it really has kind of a similar look. So if you're looking for a Jurassic Park raptor with a little feathering, this is probably your guy, honestly. You can see the detail and sculpt around the eye looks really nice as well. It's got fairly simple scaling and detailing, but it looks pretty good. You can see the teeth on the inside all actually look nicely painted. They're a little bit sloppy, but it's not really that bad. It's much better than I would expect, honestly. There's some nice dark coloration here, some almost black or burnt umber on the tip of the snout, right around the nostrils. The nostrils are sculpted nicely. And there's also that same type of burnt umber color that kind of streaks down the middle of the head up here. The feathering up here on the top looks pretty good. It's a dark blue, but then there's like a lighter blue that's been dry brushed over it to really bring out the detail of it, making that area just kind of pop and look pretty good. And you can see that the feathering kind of starts right here behind the neck, or behind the head I should say, on the neck, and it runs down into the body. I think the feathers could have probably been sculpted a little better, but they don't look that bad either. Again, this figure's probably pretty old. I'm sure it's been out, 2014, so it's been out for a little while now. Mojo's continuing to get better and improve every single year, so this was earlier on, I think, when it comes to their dinosaur figures, so it's understandable that it's not that good, but it's still not terrible. You can see coming down here, the feathering starts to turn into a bluish color, and it's got kind of a dark blue, and again with that lighter blue dry brushed over it, really giving it a pretty nice look. Some nicely done sculpt work here on the shoulder blade, coming down into the arm. The actual hand sculpts look pretty good. Not perfect, but still pretty nice. There's a little bit, kind of a little hint of a dark coloration right there that's been applied to each hand. The nails appear to be painted really nicely. There's no sloppiness or anything to them. And they also have kind of a gloss to them, giving them a little bit of a realistic look. Moving down into the stomach, you can take note of the rib cage, which is oddly large. It's very large, the rib cage. But you can see some skin folds and stuff, and some bunching of the skin here as this leg is coming up into the stomach region a little bit. It's a pretty nice muscle tone here in this back leg, and then some nice calf muscles. There's the kneecap also nicely present. The foot sculpt looks pretty good. Nothing terrible. You've got the nice sickle claw. And again, they're pretty nicely painted. This nail over here looks to be a little sloppy, but not that bad. I will say, though, that I'm not sure what's going on here as far as why there's claws back here. I don't know if that's just a horribly misplaced dew claw, but for some reason there are claws randomly back there. No idea what that is about. And then you come up here, you can see that that blue feathering gets really dark in the middle, and then kind of runs back down into this lighter blue that's been dry brushed once again over it, down into the middle of the tail, and then it turns back to this brownish coloration for the ending of the tail. And there's some fairly nice sculpt work, but again, nothing over the top fantastic like you would see on like a Papo or a Schleich or Rebor or anything like that. Once again, the other side is pretty much the same as the previous side. We've got that pale eye that is a little sloppily painted, and the pupil is a little bit Kind of oddly painted, maybe not perfectly. It's got kind of a darker brown around the eye to really accent that area though and make that eye pop a little bit to you. Again, that blue has been dry brushed over that darker blue. You've got that lighter blue dry brushed over it. Looks really nice on that little head crest. And then you move down into that brown feathering here in the neck. Back down to that dark blue with that light blue dry brushed all over this area. Down into the arms. The hands and everything look good on this side again. Once again, you can take note of the very large rib cage here. It's nice that they did include that little detail. One thing I do find a little strange is you can actually see kind of a rectangular seam right here in the stomach. I don't know why that would have been there. It almost looks like they were trying like a battle damage gimmick like Jurassic World does, but then chose not to and just sealed it up. So I don't know what that's about, but it's fairly weird that that's there. You can again take note of a few of the folding of the skin, some wrinkling of the skin right here in the hip area. The hip bone is slightly elaborated. And then you move down into some nice musculature here in the leg. Back down into that very nicely sculpted raptor foot with that nice sickle claw. Again, the nails look pretty good on this side, aside from this random nail being back here for no reason. And then you've got some nice feathering that runs down into the tail and the very nice long tail sculpt. So as far as the size goes on this Mojo Velociraptor, from the tail to the head, you're about 8.5 inches, or about 21.5 centimeters. And for a height, you're looking at about 5.25 inches or so, or about 13, almost 13.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is our buddy the Paparex, who you can see is a little bit taller than this Velociraptor. But this should give you a pretty good idea that the Velociraptor is a decent size. It's pretty tall. Definitely a sizable figure as far as a Velociraptor goes, because more often than not you'd probably get a smaller raptor figure when it comes to Velociraptors, but this one is definitely a fairly sizable figure. So this Velociraptor is quite interesting. I don't know that I would say that I'm a big fan of it. It's okay. It's a little weird. I don't know what the deal is again with this claw back here. It's kind of like it was supposed to be a dew claw, but it's just not in the correct spot at all. And then this weird little section that I don't know why that was even there, that's kind of got a seam all over the place in a rectangular fashion, is strange. I think the sculpt work could have been done a little better than this, because there's not really that much as far as detail put into it. It's really kind of all that same type of sculpt, and I know Mojo has definitely done a much better job on more recent figures as far as the sculpting of the minute details go, and this one is from 2014, so this is a much older release. So it's good to know that they did in fact improve this a lot as far as the way that their figures go, and I think their newer figures are honestly quite beautiful as far as the sculpts go, so they have improved for sure. By a mile, honestly, as far as the sculpting of the detail goes in their figures. I think the paint applied to this actually looks pretty good. It's definitely nicely applied. It looks very realistically applied. For the most part, it's been airbrushed on, and I like that the head has a darker brown than the rest of the body, again giving it a little bit of difference in coloration and a little more as far as skin tone goes. I think the pose is really stiff and kind of unnatural. I don't know why the raptor would just be standing so stiff, again, unless he's trying to get his picture taken and he's really nervous about it. That's kind of the feeling I get from it. But at the same time, maybe he just stopped to take a look around and he's surveying the land, so it could be potentially a realistic pose, but I just kind of feel like something a little less stiff could have been a little better. Once again, it does kind of give me a feeling of a Jurassic Park Velociraptor, that kind of vibe, but they added feathers onto it, which is interesting. If you actually went through with repainting one of these and made it look more like a Velociraptor from Jurassic Park, but then included the feathers, could make for a pretty cool looking figure. Overall, it's pretty nice. If you are a fan of Velociraptors and you want to add a cool little Velociraptor to your collection, or you want a feathered Jurassic Park looking Velociraptor, this is not a bad choice. Again, they have much better offerings from newer figures, but this one wasn't half bad for its time. I definitely like it. Could be better, but still not bad. If you do want to buy one, I will throw a link in the description to wherever I can find that is selling one. I'm not sure if they are for sale on Amazon, but I will try to find it on there. If not, I think Everything Dinosaur or DeJenkins will probably have it in stock. So check the description if you want to buy one for yourself. Again, it's not a half bad Velociraptor. Just could have been better, but still not bad. So check the description, follow that link, buy one for yourself if you'd like, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.